Hello, welcome to our course of Understanding Inner Self, Creating Inner Peace. I'm Leah, and I'll accompany you throughout this learning journey. Our first lesson is 6 Inner Self Barriers. These are the obstacles that may prevent you from truly understanding yourself and perceiving the world in a different way. By recognizing and overcoming them, you'll open yourself up to a new reality. This is also the first step in your journey to understanding your inner self. Let's get started. We, as humans, normally tend to create cognitive barriers. These barriers form a cocoon of chains that restrain our growth and development. Our goal in this lesson is to identify these 6 barriers and escape that cocoon in order to become better, transform ourselves, and create the life we want. Researchers and great masters have revealed the 6 major barriers that surround us. 1. Program yourself as a normal or a mediocre person. 2. Fear of failure. 3. Fear of criticism. 4. Lack of conditions. 5. Lack of knowledge. And 6. Lack of future vision. Let's get into the first barrier of programming yourself as a normal or a mediocre person. This barrier's indication is a self-limited perception: I can't do this, I can't do that. We are often programmed by past events with our teachers, coaches, friends, parents, leading us to believe that we are just normal people. As a result, we put our fate in the hands of others. That is the terrible effect of the pre-programmed leash of mediocrity. We've been told since childhood that we can't do that, or this and that can't be done. We call those barriers. For example, I can never swim. How can I swim over 2 kilometers? Now I don't think I can. Since the 1960s, psychologists have been doing research proving this phenomenon also occurs in other animals. They electrocuted the lab rats when they reached the food tray. And even after the electric shock was gone, the tray was full of delicious food, and the rats were very hungry. They did not dare to go near the food because they were too scared. To remove this barrier, we need to change what we hear, see, say, know. We should actively approach the 4 teachers of inner self, health, life, and finance. These people will help us transform and give us the opportunity to immerse ourselves in the life control environment. The second barrier is fear of failure. Because we are afraid of failure, we do not dare to develop ourselves or try doing what we haven't been able to do. Fear of failure is the hardest shackle to break. In order to break it, we need to understand the 2 components of this chain, fear and failure. Fear is a natural emotion that can sometimes be helpful in certain situations, such as when we need to defend ourselves or run away from danger. That's positive fear. However, it can also be destructive and paralyze us emotionally. And that's negative fear. Positive fear shows us natural limits, laws, etc., so that we know how to behave and have good results in life. Negative fear may seem vague yet scary. It prevents us from doing things worth doing. We do not dare to try and develop because we are afraid of failure. It's a huge chain holding us back. Fear of failure is considered one of the 10 great fears of humans. You should also note that we can't deal with all but certain fears because a person must be scared of something in life. For example, you may not survive if you don't run or defend for life when facing a lion. So how to detect vague fears? Ask yourself, what do you really want? What obstacles are in the way? What keeps you from facing the problems? Then, you'll be able to identify your fear. Also ask more questions. What would happen if your fear came true? What is the best thing that could happen if I take action? At that time, you will relieve stress and discover your weaknesses and strengths to overcome and grow. It is also important to remember that failure is not a person but a thing. However, every failure you experience can become a great teacher and a helpful mentor for your future success. It'll be unfortunate if we see failure as pain, tragedy, bitterness, and anger because we may try to avoid future failure by not taking risks. We only aim for mediocre goals, and mediocrity is the result that we will achieve. To break this barrier, we have to cultivate our mental state, especially the appreciation of the lessons learned from adversity. It will no longer frighten us, but will be lessons to help us grow. If you bear this in mind, there will be only two scenarios that can happen when you attempt something. Either you win and succeed, or you have more lessons that contribute to the foundation for future success. This kind of mindset will help you free yourself from the fear of failure. Now we come to the third fear, which is the fear of criticism. We sometimes find it difficult and uncomfortable to accept criticism, judgment, or comments. Therefore, we often try to avoid those by not giving ourselves the courage to move forward. To overcome this barrier, we need to remove the material and the immaterial self-labeling. Material self-labeling can refer to job titles, social status, etc., while immaterial self-labeling is more about knowledge, thought processes, etc. When self-labeling disappears, we will no longer avoid criticism. The fourth barrier is lack of knowledge. In other words, you think that you don't have enough knowledge to be able to initiate or do anything. Everyone only has certain strengths and abilities. We also have many weaknesses, and there are many things beyond our capabilities. In fact, it is almost impossible to be an expert in all fields. To remove the knowledge-lacking barrier, we need to raise our level of wisdom to understand our total intellectual karma. Total intellectual karma contains a person's knowledge in countless lives. In total intellectual karma only exists when things can be clearly visualized. After that, we have to work diligently and clarify our desires until we can visualize the knowledge we need. And from there, improve our knowledge in each field. At the same time, leverage the power of total condition karma to achieve what you want. Then, you will break free from the knowledge-lacking barrier. We will learn about wisdom levels as well as the concept of whole karma in the later lessons. So for now, please just note the names of these concepts. For example, you know you lack knowledge of English. Instead of feeling inferior, think about what motivates you to learn English. If you need English for work, then look into suitable courses and choose an appropriate class for your level. You can also improve it by simply listening to music or watching movies in English. Then, find English clubs to make friends and communicate in English. Doing these will activate your whole intellectual and condition karmas, helping you to quickly improve your English. The fifth barrier is the inner awareness of conditions lacking to do something. You always feel lacking the conditions to initiate anything. And because of this, you don't start or develop it. The three most limiting conditions in life are normally time, talent, and money. We should not see the lack of conditions as an obstacle, but as a lever to help us succeed. Our current common perception is that the most precious resources are time, money, and talent. Hence, we exchange those for what we want. This accidentally has limited our development. However, according to the reference system of human structure, the most valuable thing is total karma. Total karma includes intellectual karma, condition karma, and effect karma. Total karma is something we always have. We can definitely exchange our intellectual karma, condition karma, and effect karma for what we want. As long as we have a clear desire, we are qualified to achieve our goals. Do you find yourself lacking any other conditions? The answer is no, isn't it? And the final barrier is the lack of a clear vision for one's own future. It means that we do not know where we are going, what we were born for, what to do in life, and what we want to achieve. In other words, we do not have a clear vision for our own future, and we leave it up to fate. This is a huge barrier, and a thick cocoon wrapping a human. If we don't have a clear root concept, a standard reference system, and a final desired picture, how can we begin the journey? In order to have a certain vision and a clear desired outcome, we have to make efforts to give, create value, and accumulate merit and virtue. When having enough blessings, we will know the path we should take. When you take the first steps in life with that baggage, then gurus, experts, helpers, or masters will appear and help point out your vision and final destination. There are 4 types of people in this world: intellectual people, wise people, erudite people, smart people. The goal of this course is that you can become one out of 4 or all 4 types above after finishing it. Let's think about it. Can a person with wisdom wealth be whoever they want to be? Of course it is possible. The goal of wisdom enrichment is to remove the inner barriers. Smart people learn lessons from their own experiences. Smarter people learn from other people's failures. The smartest people learn from the successful experiences of successful people. So, you can still transform without even going through suffering. You can enrich your wisdom to remove the barriers that limit yourself by raising your inner awareness, thereby transforming yourself to have the life you want. I will use the egg story to further prove how good it is to transform using the inner force. A chicken egg will become food if it is touched from the outside. And that same chicken egg will become alive to be if coming out from the inside of the eggshell. If we do not step out of our cocoon by ourselves and wait until we are forced by society, leading to loss and suffering to change, then we will be food for the society. If suffering does not change us, the greater one will. If greater suffering does not change us, the more terrible one will. If terrible suffering does not change us, loss will. The great intellectuals have pointed out that if we can cut all these barriers ourselves, we can transform. And importantly, we won't have suffering and loss. Hence, let's choose to strive to become a life to be, not food. Hope that our first lesson isn't too complicated. It is important that you are now aware of the 6 inner barriers that prevent people from solving life's problems and aim to break one or all of these 6 barriers. Please always remember this: man's greatest victory is not to defeat anyone, but to face himself and defeat himself. Thank you for taking the time to attend the first session. See you in Lesson 2 on the topic of 7 comprehensive wealth.